morning, everyone. Thank you, students. I'd like to introduce ourselves. I'm Peggy Hitt. I'm the elementary principal, and this is Jerry Diesel. She's our assistant elementary principal, and she's primarily responsible for working on this today. So we're going to give her a good hand at the end of the day. I want to welcome you all to our Veterans Day program. And as a reminder, please turn off your cell phones so we won't have any disruptions. And I have a little message for all of our students. I want you to remember that this is a serious assembly. So your behavior needs to be respectful for these people because they've been willing to fight for our freedom. They've been willing to put their lives on the line for us. And so this is a moment for us to thank them. So please listen and please remain quiet throughout the ceremony. And I know you will. Thank you. I'd like to say to the veterans, the military members, the spouses, and the guests that on behalf of the students, the staff, and the administration here at St. Gen, we thank you for your attendance here today. It's an honor for us to be able to share time with you. So thank you for that. At this point, we're all going to please stand, and we're going to remain silent for the presentation of colors, the singing of the national anthem, and the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand. VFW Post 2210 is going to present the colors. The St. Genevieve Elementary 4th graders will now sing the national anthem under the direction of Miss Michaela Shaver. The VFW Ladies Auxiliary Coloring Contest winners will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, would all the students who have a special guest today come to the front of the stage? At this point in the program, children who have brought a special guest today will present them with a flag. Children, if you have 2 or more special guests and you need another flag, Mr. Gegg will bring you one, okay? Because we had some special guests that we may not have signed up. So we want to make sure all our guests have a flag. Veterans and military members, when you hear your name, please stand so your elementary student can find you and bring the flag to you. John Apt, peacetime, grandfather of Mariah and Cheyenne Apt. Patrick Adamson, grandfather of Hayden Waller, and David Lawson, uncle of Hayden Waller. Patrick Adamson served in Vietnam, and David Lawson in the war in Iraq. John Allen served in the Gulf War and is the uncle of Stephen and Bradley Allen. Boys and girls, after you present your flag, you may go sit back with your class or join the other 4th graders or students on the stage. Stanley Barks and Mark Zajura, grandfathers of Hannah Reeves, both Vietnam veterans. Leo Bosler, Vietnam veteran and grandfather of Luke and Carly Bosler. Robert Gosler, great uncle of Cole Roman and a Vietnam veteran. William Beckerman, peacetime service and friend of Colton Lacey.
Nathan Bess served in the war in Iraq and is the uncle of Dax Bess. I'm sorry, perhaps not here. Virgil Boyer, grandfather of Mariah, Kaylin, Zachary, and one more name. Who am I missing? Who's your sister or brother? Abby. Virgil is a veteran of the Vietnam War. Randy Brigg, peacetime service, the great uncle of Nicholas Jenkins. Michael Cole, grandparent of Bradley Greeny, peacetime service. Oh, I'm sorry I don't get Mr. Cole's here today. Okay, Donald Diesel, husband of Mrs. Diesel, the war in Iraq. Tim Hook, veteran of the Gulf War and brother of Mrs. Diesel. Urban Hook, father of Mrs. Diesel, peacetime service. Ken Diffie, grandfather of Fox, Autumn, and Kason Diffie. Scott Schomper, uncle of Fox, Kason, and Autumn Diffie. Harry Davis, veteran of Desert Storm and cousin of Laney and Mrs. Yamnitz. William Gegg, grandfather of Autumn Werner and veteran of the Vietnam War. David Grass Sr., veteran of the Vietnam War and grandfather of Jordan Grass. Larry Gray, Vietnam veteran and grandfather of Caitlin Gray. Troy Hobbs, veteran of the war in Afghanistan and father of Braden and Cameron Hobbs. Paul Jokerst, great-grandfather of Tatum Jacob and veteran of the Vietnam War. Robert Kohler, grandfather of Jordan Jacob, veteran of the Vietnam War. James Kramer, grandfather of Grace Robinson. Veteran of the Vietnam War, and also the grandfather of Kyle Kiefer. Steve Miller, husband of Mrs. Miller, and veteran of the Vietnam War. Brian Murphy, Jaden Murphy, peacetime service. Roger Odom, grandfather of Gracie Odom, the Vietnam War. John Foff and Vincent Weiler, grandfathers of Tanner Weiler. Mr. Foff served in the Vietnam War and Mr. Weiler in the Korean War. Dale Probst, grandfather of Dale Probst, a veteran of the Vietnam War. Elmer Reed, great-grandfather of Brenton Sykes and a World War II veteran. And Roger Martin, grandfather of Brenton Sykes, veteran of the Vietnam War. Vince Stolzer, grandfather of Devin, Nathan, and Natalie St. Clair, and father of Mrs. St. Clair, veteran of the Vietnam War. James Jimbo Weiler, grandfather of Grant Weiler and veteran of the Vietnam War. Donald Wickerham and Jerry LeClaire, both Vietnam veterans and grandfathers of Jaden LeClaire. Marty Wipkoff, grandfather of Quentin Wipkoff, veteran of the Vietnam War. Gilbert Eckenfels, World War II veteran and grandfather of Cody Shilley. Francis Bowman, Korean War veteran and great-great-uncle of Quentin Wipkoff. Quentin? Tom Raymer, Korean War. Joseph Young, grandfather of Cassie Shelby, veteran of the Korean War. Norman Stupi, grandfather of Haley and Tessa Grass, veteran of the Korean War. Joe Lurk, veteran of the Vietnam War. Vince Hook, veteran of the Korean War. Paul Brishley, veteran of the Vietnam War. Bill Kreitler, veteran of the Korean War. Peacetime service, right? Okay. Leon Meyer, veteran of the Vietnam War. Lloyd Schweiger, veteran of the Vietnam War. Vic Jokerst, veteran of the Korean War. Dennis Grass, grandfather of Tessa Grass, and veteran of the Vietnam War. Stephen Hilbert, Iraq and Afghanistan veteran and cousin to Colton Lacey. All right, at this point, have I missed any veterans or military members in attendance today? If I have, please stand and we'll get your name and your service and present you with a flag. We didn't miss anyone? Well, at this point, then let's give the veterans and the military members a round of applause. At this point, we'd like to have Mrs. Lois Fleet from the VFW Post 2210 Ladies Auxiliary come up to present the Patriotic Coloring Contest Awards. The ladies graciously recently hosted a coloring contest at school, and each grade level had 2 winners. And today the winners will be presented with a cash award and the honor of knowing that their artwork was patriotic, neatly done, and accurate in its representation of American symbols like the flag, the eagle, Betsy Ross, and some other art they depicted. So boys and girls, when you hear your name called, Mrs. Fleet will present your award. Carly Bosler, kindergarten. We may clap for them. Paige Bader. Taylor R. Brewster, first grade, in Paige kindergarten. Mason Nitz, first grade. Lainey Amnitz, grade 2. Johanna Fells, grade 2. Dorian Alto, grade 3. He even has a camouflage Band-Aid on today. Caleb Dilly, grade 3. Eli Fisher, grade 4. Madison Bates, grade 4. Jade Dio, grade 5. And Kyle Kiefer, grade 5. It was a tough contest with over 500 entries, and all the boys and girls did a great job. And the ladies came after school one day and walked our halls and judged the art, and it was very exciting for everyone. So we want to thank them for their generous gifts to the children. And after the ceremony today, you are invited to the elementary school to visit and walk around if you would like to see the artwork. Thanks.
The 5th grade students will now perform the white table ceremony. We're going to follow it by a moment of silence.
This table will be set for those servicemen and women who are either missing in action or prisoners of war. Let us remember those men and women from all branches of the service that are too often forgotten. This table is earned to show the everlasting concern for our missing men and women.
A white tablecloth is used to show purity of their intentions to respond to the country's call to duty.
The white candle is here for the hope that peace will come. The Bible is for those who are missing so they might keep the faith.
The red ribbon on the vase is for our continued determination to find them.
A single rose reminds us of the family and friends who keep their faith while they wait for their return.
A woman stands for the bitter fate of those who are captured and missing in a foreign land. The salt represents the family's tears. A plaque napkin is placed here for the sadness of captivity.
The glass is upside down because they cannot toast with us today.
I will now extinguish the candle. Let the flame transfer to our hearts so we will always remember.
Remember, until they come home. Remember.
Andrea Reyes, a 9th grade student at St. John High School, will now perform taps. Will be God Bless America, or God Bless the USA, performed by the St. Genevieve Elementary 4th graders, directed by Miss Michaela Schaefer. Veterans Day tribute for today, we'd like to thank the VFW Post 2210 Color Guard, the Ladies Auxiliary, the veterans, military members, and their guests for sharing this special time with us. We also want to recognize the veterans and military members of our St. Genevieve Elementary School students and staff who may not be in attendance today. We have posted their names on our Wall of Fame in our building so that they may be remembered as well. And I'd like to say thank you to the St. Genevieve Elementary students, the teachers, and the staff for your contributions today. Thanks to Ms. Shaver for her music, Carol Schwint for her signing, and Mr. Cook for the beautiful flag that was put together. And last but not least, we would also like to thank Diane Miller and Sharon Giesler for their help in planning today's program. Veterans and their guests are invited to visit the elementary and view our Wall of Fame display after we dismiss from the auditorium. And now the VFW Post 2210 will retire the colors. Going to have the veterans and the military members and guests please lead the exit, and students and other guests will follow. It was a wonderful day. Thank you all very much.